We recently released an interview which has caused quite a stir. It's an interview with the ANC national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bengu-Motsiri. And many of you, probably most of the people that are watching this, either watched the whole interview or you've seen parts of it on other social media channels, or somebody sent it to you on WhatsApp. It's created quite a stir because the ANC spokesperson says the quiet bit out loud. She confirmed that the ANC is more about ideology and their policies than what they are about investment or job growth. And when I challenged her on some of this legislation which may hurt business, have a listen to how Mahlengi dealt with that. Big shot from some country, and I want to open a multi-billion-dollar factory in South Africa. I'm going to buy this land, which I've earmarked. I'm going to build a big factory, right? I'm going to employ thousands of people. But I need to know that nobody, not just you, but nobody could at some stage say, in the public interest, we might just want your big factory and your intellectual property. Can you guarantee me that you can't have it? Then he says, I'm going to bring in a lot of specialists, but I see that there's an employment equity tick box exercise, right, where I am being told who to hire, right? And I run companies all over the world, and nowhere am I told who I must hire. Should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India or
so
elsewhere.
Go somewhere else.
Yes.
I think what has been a real eye-opener has been the amount of analysis that this video has got from other podcasts and even broad-based media. And today what we're going to be doing is something a little bit different. We're going to review some of the reviews. We're going to look at some of that analysis. We're going to talk about it and maybe show you some things that you wouldn't have seen, because some of it is quite entertaining. First out of the blocks was Thomas Mabaso at the 360 Experience. I'm sure many of you have watched Thomas. If you haven't, he's a great guy who does a lot of really, really important analysis. And he seemed to be very impressed with my patience. Listen to Thomas.
You know, guys, I don't think we give enough credit to the people that are doing the interviews with the politicians. I don't know how they do it. I actually don't know how they manage. I mean, for an example, let's look at Mike Sham. Shout out to Mike Sham, the host of the State of the Nation. I will never have the patience of Mike Sham. I don't know how he's able to sit down with these lying politicians. And I don't know how he's able to control his temper when these people are basically antagonizing him by lying in his face. This is the kind of emotional intelligence that I don't have. I think if I were today to interview politicians, it would be a mess, man. It would be a mess. And you will have the people on the comment sections saying that, no, this is so unprofessional. This is not how you speak with the politicians. And I think
Thomas then also said some very, very kind words about the state of the nation.
And Mike Sham has no chance. And he will say, and you will get furious as someone who is watching from the outside. You will actually get furious. And as someone who has followed the State of the Nation for a long time, because to be honest, guys, this is one of those platforms that actually inspired me to do what I do today. I did tell Mike Sham that I don't think you actually know the kind of role that you played into my life. I don't think you are aware of the role that you played into my life, because you doing State of the Nation actually inspired me to do what I do today. I actually love this platform. I have a soft spot for State of the Nation. And one of the things that I have realized is that some of these politicians that are interviewed on State of the Nation, they basically have no respect for Mike Sham. They have no respect for Mike Sham. Some of them, they will overtalk him. Some of them, they will divert, and they will actually make the conversations useless.
But it wasn't only Thomas and his reactions that I want to highlight. He made some great observations in response to my question about transformation and apartheid. Watch Thomas. Listen to him. He says it better than I do. Issue. Let's talk about transformation. You mentioned employment equity. So what we have at the moment, the biggest problem in South Africa, as far as I can see, when people complain and they say, what are you unhappy about? They are unhappy about the economy, jobs, service delivery. I don't know where people are complaining about transformation. What we have is an economy that's not growing. Right?
That's a very conservative view, to say people are not complaining about transformation.
Right.
People are actually not complaining. People are deserving equal opportunity.
And what stops them from getting equal opportunity?
Because the apartheid patterns continue to persist. They can never be reversed after only 30 years. So to be able to secure a job.
I mean, guys, don't you get furious sometimes when these people are actually asked simple questions and they start to speak about apartheid? They start to speak about apartheid. I mean, as someone who lives in the townships, I don't hear people complaining about transformation. I don't want to lie. I don't hear people complaining about transformation, because transformation, it is not as important as actually getting people into jobs. People want jobs. People want to provide for their families. This whole thing of the transformation, this whole thing of equal opportunities, it is just the ANC's way of basically grandstanding on the issues that are not as important than the issues that they need to focus on. These people are doing everything in their power not to have serious conversations about the economy. They are doing everything in their power not to have a serious conversation about this huge problem that we have in this country, that is the unemployment rate. They are talking about the transformation as if putting few people into the positions of power or forcing companies to hire few people into managerial positions, it is actually going to transform the lives of the people of this country. They don't want to talk about the fact that the majority of the people on the ground, they are still unemployed. Majority of the people on the ground, they are hopeless. No, this is not the conversation for the ANC. It is not the conversation for the ANC. And of course, for a political party that has been in charge of this country for the past 30 years, they are blaming apartheid. They are blaming apartheid. It is apartheid. It is apartheid's fault that the ANC basically failed to create a conducive environment and so that businesses can thrive. It is apartheid's fault that today the economy is growing at 0%. It is apartheid's fault, all of these things. It is not the fault of the ANC. The ANC actually has nothing to do with what is happening in the country. This is according to these people. And this is the reason why I would say I would totally lose my mind when these people would actually start to say things that are so infuriating.
This had led to the discussion on the budget, which, according to Mhlengi, the ANC opposed its own VAT increase.
And I must also remind you, it was ANC ministers, when this was first presented in cabinet, who opposed it.
Are you joking?
I'm not joking.
Do you seriously?
I mean, like, this lady actually expects the whole country to think that the ANC had nothing to do with that budget of the 2 percentage points. And these are kind of things that actually gets under my skin, because we had the president of this country standing in front of the whole nation, live on national television, telling the people of this country why this 2% it is so necessary. You remember Ramaphosa speaking about the government needs to hire doctors, the governments need to pay for the grants, the governments needs to... And these people are saying that no, the president and the ANC, we had nothing to do with that. It was only the treasury. No, it was only the treasury. We had nothing to do with that. They forget that themselves, they have actually defended these VAT hikes. They forget that the president of the party went out and told the people of this country why that 2 percentage point it is needed. But today, the ANC says that no, we didn't want anything to do with the VAT hikes, despite Fikile Mbalula telling South Africans that the DA came with a proposal saying that we must cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the ANC does not believe in cutting. The DA says cut, but the ANC does not believe in cutting. And today, the same people are telling us that they were never for the VAT hikes. They want you to believe that they were never for the VAT hikes. I mean, guys, me, I don't want to lie. I am better off rambling like this. I know that like a lot of people have actually started to say that, Thomas, maybe you need to start sending out those emails to these politicians and start having conversations with these people. But these people will actually make you age fast, man. You will age fast. And I think if Mike Sham continues to do these interviews, man, he will age faster than he's doing right now. I don't want to lie. He's going to age very fast. Because how can the spokesperson of the ANC that is aware of all of this basically look Mike Sham into the eyes and tell him that the ANC were never for the VAT hikes? How is it possible that this person can actually do that? How? I mean, guys.
When the conversation moved on to corruption and corruption in the ANC, have a listen to what Thomas had to say in his analysis, as well as some of his other responses.
Currently, we're running all over the country, wall to wall, running foundation calls on politics for all our members.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we're doing. Secondly, we have an integrity commission. We're the only party in South Africa that has an integrity commission.
You're possibly the only party that needs one.
Well, no. The idea from you that there are no corrupt elements in other parties.
I didn't say that. Let's talk about your party.
It's an inference. And I think it's a sad one. Because
call it sad. I've got evidence on my side.
Yeah, because there's I do have lots of evidence of corruption in the DA.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, why are you in that platform to speak about the DA? They are speaking about the ANC. You are there to represent the ANC. And this is the reason why I'm saying that she has no respect for him, because just look at the things that she does. Right now, she's just going to talk about the DA. And when the conversation, it is about the ANC.
Evidence galore, including in KZN, Umgeni.
Right.
So this idea that the corruption is only in the ANC, there's no way we can agree with that analysis. What we can agree on is the fact that we are doing a lot of work to root out
So the fact
corruption.
that there may be corruption in other parties, that gives you a blank check to go ahead with corruption.
No, I didn't.
Because that's what you're implying.
That's not what we're saying.
Well,
this is exactly what you are saying. This is exactly what you are saying, because you are not defending the ANC on these corrupt allegations. You are talking about the fact that, no, other political parties are corrupt too. Meaning that you think that it is okay for the ANC to conduct themselves the way that they have been conducting themselves because other political parties are doing it. This is literally what you are implying. It is exactly what you are implying.
And we're going to stamp out corruption from within our ranks. We're going to make sure that those that have acted outside of the code of conduct of the ANC and the Constitution are punished, and they take consequences. Thirdly, and therefore,
sorry, every single ANC meeting has said exactly the same thing.
Young parliamentary caucus that works, that also advances our election manifesto, but that also advances a multi-party democracy in line with the kind of constitutional democracy that South Africa has. Those are just some of the things we're doing to...
I will never have that kind of patience, man. And this lady is talking about the parliamentary caucus of the ANC. She's talking about those madalas and those gogos. And she talks about those people basically working. Those people are always sleeping in parliament, man. Those people are always sleeping. Where do you get the lever to actually speak about the ANC parliamentary caucus? Where do you get the cojones to speak about the ANC parliamentary caucus? And to try to make us believe that, no, this caucus that has been sleeping in parliament for the past 15 years, it is now suddenly woke, and these people are going to work to ensure that South Africans are living good.
In the very popular Morning Shot podcast hosted by Byron Shepherd, Byron focused on the very important part in the economy. You know, the part of the video, the part of the interview that has got so much attention. And Byron reviewed this and had this to say.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a clip to show you, and this actually relates to an interview which the ANC spokesperson conducted. Have a watch.
should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India.
So go somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. So
No.
To an international investor, they contact you. They say, I am Mr. Big Shot from some country and I want to open a multi-billion-dollar factory in South Africa. I'm going to buy this land, which I've earmarked. I'm going to build a big factory, right? I'm going to employ thousands of people. But I need to know that nobody, not just you, but nobody could at some stage say, in the public interest, we might just want your big factory and your intellectual property. Can you guarantee me that you can't have it? Then he says, I'm going to bring in a lot of specialists, but I see that there's an employment equity tick box exercise, right, where I am being told who to hire, right? And I run companies all over the world, and nowhere am I told who I must hire. Should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India.
So go somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay. So,
No.
Well, we can see why we've got a growth rate of 0.6%.
No.
Okay. I think that's the.
No.
You've joined Dada Moreira as the other honest politician, because at least you've answered the question honestly.
If you are coming and now I see you're bidding for Starlink by Elon Musk.
I am.
You are. That's the anecdote that you're utilizing is that of the Starlink issue with Elon Musk.
Okay.
I'm saying here
Right.
that anyone who wants to come and invest in South Africa must abide by the South African Constitution and the laws of the country. Any self-respecting country does that.
Okay.
That's not unique to an ANC-led government of national unity. It's just what it is.
And therefore, with that, by that same logic, we must just be happy with no growth, economic growth.
Now, you see, ladies and gentlemen, this actual individual, the spokesperson for the ANC, highlights exactly why South Africa is suffering high unemployment and jobless rates. The ANC is so out of touch that ideologically they say, well, the rules of the nation, no matter how balmy or stupid they are, must be followed. In other words, our rule must be followed at the expense of creating jobs which could employ people and improve their quality of life. This highlights to you exactly what's wrong with the governing party. They are just retarded. And at this point in time, there's no redeeming them.
But if I've got a soft spot for one podcaster, it's a guy who we're going to hear a lot from, and I'm going to have him on the State of the Nation, and that is the wonderfully named Bonsai Shongwe. Bonsai is a preacher, but he's a great political analyst and a man who really understands economics. Certainly, Bonsai was without doubt the most animated reviewer.
Wow. In a country where every second person you meet in ANC stronghold Eastern Cape does not work and has probably given up on finding a job, ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bengumutsiri makes the most asinine, brazen statement that affects the creation of jobs. So in this video, I'm going to show you that statement, and then we're going to respond to her briefly. But after that, I'm going to play you, it's going to give you goosebumps listening to this with hindsight, listening to it 31 years later. Just a statement when it was made, but now feels like an ultra prophetic statement. And if you stay till the end and I'll give you my biblical reaction, you'll have a video that you either can share with everyone so they can understand why their cousin and their friends are unemployed, or you'll also know what you can do, because we are going to have a prosperous country. And if you're ready for that, please press like and let's go ahead and listen to this shocking response from ANC spokesperson on the State of the Nation with Mike Sham. Woo! Listen.
I actually struggle with your discourse because the discourse seems to think that the problems in South Africa are only limited to the wrongs of the African National Congress.
No.
The African National Congress has always considered the things that we failed to do correctly and how we've disappointed a lot of our people and in general the people of South Africa. You can go through so much of that publication, including our president says this regularly, but he says we are coming back, and we are coming back on an ethical footing, which is why I keep reminding you that this idea that ANC people are cadres and they're corrupt, all of them, is very wrong.
Okay, so let's do a little exercise, you and I, right? I hand over your phone number because I've got your number to an international investor. They contact you. They say, I am Mr. Big Shot from some country and I want to open a multi-billion-dollar factory in South Africa. I'm going to buy this land, which I've earmarked. I'm going to build a big factory, right? I'm going to employ thousands of people. But I need to know that nobody, not just you, but nobody could at some stage say, in the public interest, we might just want your big factory and your intellectual property. Can you guarantee me that you can't have it? Then he says, I'm going to bring in a lot of specialists, but I see that there's an employment equity tick box exercise, right, where I am being told who to hire, right? And I run companies all over the world, and nowhere am I told who I must hire. Should I invest in your country or shouldn't I? How would you answer that particular investor?
That you can go and invest in India or elsewhere.
So go somewhere else.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to unblock my ears. I don't know how yours are doing. Did she just say in the country with the highest employment in the world, Zach, you can just go invest in India? Okay, if your ears are probably better than mine, please tell me in the comments below, was that her response to the investor who's trying to set up in the country?
This is how Bonsai responded to the budget and the legislation crisis that we raised in that interview. We must just be happy with no growth, economic growth in this country, because that's how it's manifested.
We must have growth.
Where's it going to come from?
And specifically inclusive.
Where's it going to come from?
Inclusive economic growth.
Where's it going to come from?
It's going to come from infrastructure development. Read the entire budget.
We've read the budget. But
you've not read. Let me unpack the budget for you. Give me a minute to break it down for you, because the obsession with the VAT issue is blinding, I think, your perspective. That budget is the most developmental budget you can ever find in South Africa. One, I'm now speaking about the expenditure side of the budget. The budget provides for increased access to education, particularly early childhood development. There are allocations made in that respect, which amounts to effective practical implementation of the Bella Act that you and the people that pursue this narrative believe that the Bella Act is problematic, which is aimed at strengthening access to early childhood development. And people are jumping up and down saying the Afrikaans language is going to be undermined by this Bella Act, and which were proved to be totally incorrect. Secondly, the budget aims at attracting and employing many health workers in order to address the shortages in our health system, so that we can ensure that our people have access to health care in line with the dictates of the Constitution.
And that'll create jobs.
And at the end, Bonsai sums it up really well. Please have a look at this.
To the T.
She says, if we execute my plan to a T, which is better than Elon Musk and every other entrepreneur out there, the best entrepreneurs are probably on a 20% success rate, but Mahlengi Bengu has one plan, and her one plan will work for 60 million people. Instead of releasing all the entrepreneurs to be able to do so that 20%, 10% of them succeed and actually get to hire our people, Mahlengi Bengu, who is better than Elon Musk as an entrepreneur, has a plan on a piece of paper, and we, all 60 million of us, must rely on her one plan, and that's how unemployment will go. Now, don't look at the fact that her one plan for the past 17 years has not worked. No, but now she and her comrades have re-looked at their plan, and that's why they make it business, make it hard for all business to operate, because we don't need all your various plans, which if only 10% of them succeed, unemployment will be gone. No, we've got our one plan, and you can relax. You're in good hands, South Africa. Don't worry about your unemployed cousin. Don't worry about your unemployed friend. Don't worry about your unemployed uncle. Mahlengi Bengu has a plan.
Okay, so this interview, which has got a lot of mileage, is not the first video that we've produced that's attracted attention, but this time it was a little bit different. Because this is the spokesperson of the almighty African National Congress, the party of Nelson Mandela, the government for 30 years, and the leader of the current government of national unity. This is the party that has set the tone for South Africa for more than a generation. The party whose ideology we have had to follow, whether we supported them or not, for good or for bad. And now I want to give you my interpretation, my review of what Mahlengi had to say on my own show. I think the ANC doesn't believe that their discrimination laws is in fact discrimination. I think they've drunk their own Kool-Aid. They think that this discrimination is all justified in the name of transformation. They don't buy the fact that this could be damaging to the economy. This could be causing exactly the opposite reaction to the one that they're hoping to get. And that it's not going to help the economy at all. You know, if anything, it's going to dissuade international investors. It's going to make South African entrepreneurs not want to trade. Everybody, regardless of who you are, if you are a businessman, you're going to look at some of the legislation and say, I'd rather not do this, or I'd rather not do this in this South Africa. And I'm not only referring to white business people here. I live in South Africa. I believe that the future is with black entrepreneurs. But we do not have a very accommodating legislative program in South Africa. We do not have an environment that backs the entrepreneur. And I don't think that they are fighting the right fight. In the minds of ANC politicians, the unemployed 50% of the country, those people who can't find jobs, don't know it yet, but the laws will work in the long run. Well, if 30 years isn't the long run, what is the long run? They really believe that these people will be happy with a social grant while these laws take effect and eventually brings us to the promised land. These are politicians who already have jobs. They already take home massive salaries at our expenses. We pay their salaries. Let's not forget that. And I don't think they give a damn about the poor. I don't think they care about the poor. And you know what makes me so confident of that? Is that they refer to them as the poor. They don't refer to them as people. They refer to them as the poor. They might as well call them the beggars or the slaves or, whatever they want to call. It is the most demeaning thing to call a group of people, half your population, the poor, as if they did this on purpose. I don't think that the ANC cares about the poor. I don't think they understand that people want a job. They want a decent salary. They want to own their own houses. They don't really care who owns the farm as long as there's vegetables in the supermarket. They don't really care who started the business as long as they get a decent job out of it. And they are not stopped from starting their own business. I don't think that the ANC gets that at all. Here's what's crazy about this. Just as that video was going viral, I got a message from Mthlengi saying that she wants to come back on the show so that we can talk about expropriation some more. Now, it got me thinking. I'd love to have her back. I'd love to have part 2. And then I thought about it and I thought, how is that conversation going to go? And it suddenly tied in with something else. So Mthlengi is going to come onto the show, and I hope that she does. I really liked her. We may not agree politically, but I really do like her. And she is going to try to explain that I just don't understand the act. She said it on the show. That if she just explains it to me, maybe talks slower, maybe with a different tone of voice, I'm going to say, oh, this is a great idea, that somebody could take property rights away from us, that somebody could take your intellectual property, and she'll explain it so well that I'll agree with it. That some judge will say, no, not a good idea. And it got me thinking that our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, is about to go to the USA to speak to Donald Trump. And you know what? He's going to try and do exactly the same thing. He's going to try and explain to him that an act called the Expropriation Without Compensation Act isn't an expropriation act. And that laws that tell you how many people of which color, which group to employ isn't discriminatory, it's transformation. They're going to try and explain this to people that are quite intelligent, and then they're going to wonder why these people aren't agreeing with them. Well, you can't agree with something that is naturally so ridiculous. Everybody knows that it's ridiculous, and everybody will treat it with that, and the world has changed, and everybody is not going to be silent about this at all. They should thank President Donald Trump for not keeping quiet, because for once somebody hasn't done what the rest of the world would do, which is just keep quiet, say nothing, and just not invest in South Africa. Because at the end of the day, this isn't a business-friendly place, and these aren't business-friendly legislation. This is legislation that is very divisive. Everybody seems to know this, except for the ANC. So, let's wrap this up by me asking you to subscribe to this channel. We are on 100,000 watch. We're getting closer. We need a few more subscribers. We'll get there by the middle of the year. I want to thank our sponsor, Pace Car Rental, for keeping us on air. And I want to thank you for watching this today. And we'll be back again on the weekly update. Thank you very much for joining me.